All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Product Leader Virtual Speaker Series. My name's Nishith. I am your MC today. I have a 15-year career in product management at various startups and scale-ups, so I've seen amazing launches and disastrous flaps and late nights trying to fix it all. So never a dull moment in product management, but let me tell you, I think there's never been a more exciting time, I think, to be in product, thanks to AI and the ever-growing need for human connection and direction. And hopefully today we can give you some tips to leverage that in your day-to-day life. This series is brought to you in partnership with Ha, who we all know and love, and the Product Leader Summit. For more information, please go to the Product Leader Summit website. Check it out. It's an invitation-only executive event to help foster collaboration and learning across the product hemisphere here. So really look forward to that. Please do make an invitation-only request there to see if you can speak at one of the sessions. Our mission here for this series is simple. We want to foster new speakers by giving them a platform to hone their craft. And we want to facilitate small group connections here because, let's face it, there's just so much to learn from each other. I know just in the past few weeks, I've learned so much from all the folks I've spoken to. Today's agenda includes an intro followed by Shuba Shetty, who will lead a talk about how to use Gen AI and AI productivity hacks for product leaders. Afterward, we'll have a Q&A session, followed by some NPS feedback, and it is really critical. We do take that feedback seriously, so please do share your thoughts. This series today actually is brought to you by NPS feedback, so please do take some time to share it. We will drop links for NPS feedback here, as well as post the call today here. Then we'll move on to breakout rooms where you can chat more intimately and network with other folks. We aim to wrap up a little early. I know everyone's a little busy. It's Friday, so give you a chance for your next meeting. Please do note, we are recording this session. I just need to get that out of the way. But also, I'd love to give a huge shout out to our volunteers today, Juhi, Parul, Mahip, Katie, and everyone else here for helping running the show and volunteering to speak at this series and making time out of their day. Now, let's dive into what makes Shuba special. I'll turn it over to Parul.
Lauren's here.
Lauren, Lauren's here. All right. Lauren will be the one to do the intro. Lauren is the CPO of Leap Event Technology. So, Lauren, if you're around here, I'll let you take the stage.
I am so honored to introduce Shuba Shetty to you today. I've known her for more than 5 years, and we've actually spoken together at conferences, on panels, and with Parul as well. So glad to see another friendly face here. I've known her for a long time, and I know that she is a stellar product leader. She's been at Fanatics, Upwork, Walmart, eBay, so many top brands. And what I'm most amazed by is that I continue to learn new things about Shuba all the time. So 3 things that I've recently learned about Shuba that I think are very interesting. And first off, she's an advisor to startup accelerators and 2 AI startups. So makes sense why she's giving this talk today. She's also an angel investor and looking for her next board seat. So if any of you want to get Shuba on your board, you've got a chance. The second thing I learned about her, and this one really surprised me, was that she's actually a classically trained singer. And she's recently picked it back up and has performed recently. So maybe if we end this session early, we'll get a special performance. And then the third thing that I'm impressed by is that Shuba is someone who always takes that initiative. As Nishith mentioned in this intro, this is a relatively new product speaker series. It's something that I think a lot of us have thought about over time, but Shuba, along with Ha, took the initiative to say, hey, you know what? We need this. We need this for the product leader community. And so she's making it happen. So I'm so impressed by Shuba. I can't wait to hear about all of her AI productivity hacks. I'm sure we're all going to learn a lot today. And I will hand it off to my friend Shuba Shetty.
Oh my God, Lauren, you had to put in the singing thing, huh?
Obviously.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. The feeling is mutual, and for not only your body of work, and I'm honored to call you my friend. Thank you so much, Lauren, for agreeing to do this. Um, Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this session on how to use AI tools to improve and increase your productivity. So, like hacks to do that. Let's start with a quick question. How many of you hate meetings and think it sucks your productivity? Hands up. Right? I mean, it feels like a rite of passage, though, for product leaders like us, but we typically despise product meetings, right? And so, ironically, calling product leaders like yourself to a meeting like this to help save time on other meetings is like organizing a sleepathon to promote workouts. But bear with me, I think this might just be the exception. So think about it. AI tools can help you avoid unnecessary meetings, can help automate your tedious tasks, and maybe even predict when your next caffeine crash will be. Actually, I don't know about the caffeine crash, but everything else I think is fair game. So today we're going to explore how AI can become your new best friend. And this, which doesn't need coffee breaks, it doesn't interrupt you with bad jokes. That's my thing, as you can see, and works tirelessly to make your life easier. So imagine a world where your just biggest decision is which AI tool to use so to save time. So we're going to delve in and look at some hacks. So grab your virtual notepads and get ready for this. And let me. I'm not sure why my presentation is not showing up. So give me a quick second while I get my presentation sorted out. Are you guys able to see it now?
It's loading, Shuba.
See
There
it
we
now.
go.
We see it now.
Yep.
Awesome, great. So buckle up, guys. We're going to learn a lot today, and it's going to go fast because there's a lot. After introduction, some caveats, context, I'll present to you some insights on some productivity opportunities for product leaders like us, and then we'll do the hackathon. You're welcome to actually try this out as I'm actually showing it to you. And we also have an awesome guest speaker who will show you her hack. After this, we'll have about 5 to 7 minutes, hopefully, for I'm sure leaders like yourself have your own Gen AI productivity hack. So I'd love to hear maybe, what is your top hack? And we'll have Q&A. And as Nishit mentioned, we'll then move into breakout rooms where you'll also meet, all of us in a little bit more of an intimate setting. I know that's another reason why you're here. So a little bit about me. I mean, again, I appreciate Lauren for sharing the introduction. I've spent a couple of decades in product management, leadership in mostly commerce, marketplace, and retail companies. I'm excited about the two advisories that I'm doing for 2 AI startups, which is giving me a front row seat into some of the innovation that's happening in AI. And I also dabble in angel investing. That's a picture of me and my son in the Sarasota beach in Florida. And it's a reminder for me always in terms of, what my most important job is, and that is to be a mother. And I'm sure we all have an important job outside of work. And so for me, these productivity hacks are actually very personal because I don't want to spend all day writing a project brief or a product strategy document. I want to finish that off quickly if there's an easy way to do it with good quality. And I want to spend more time with my son. So this is actually a little bit more personal for me. And I hope you can, take some away from that. So context, caveats. I think the biggest caveat that I would like to underline is that productivity is more than just saving time. I know that's what you are all here for, but I want to kind of like caveat this because productivity is also about increasing the quality of your work, feeling more creative about your work, reducing the activation energy that it takes to start new projects, documents, etc., and really about enjoying your work more. And so please think of productivity and some of the hacks that you're going to see here today, a little bit more holistically than just saving time. We're going to run through a lot today, so it is really function over form. You guys get it, I'm sure. This, time that we're going to have together is more about some pretty basic Gen AI tools and prompts. We're not going to go into very deep, advanced agents, workflows, etc. If you like this content and think this content is useful, again, give us feedback, and we're happy to come back and create more content on a more advanced level. But this is, as you can also imagine, kind of like an experiment in terms of if it's resonating with you or not. And I hope it does. We're going to show you some hacks. We're going to show you some tools. Use it with judgment. Read the terms of service before you use it. You may already be using one of those tools and go, I actually don't like that tool, and that's not the way it works for me. That's great. It's about bringing your perspective to the table and enriching also the conversation. So keep the conversation going in chat. We have some volunteers, as Nishit mentioned, who are going to moderate this conversation for us. For all of you, let's see you. Turn on the video. You have committed to coming to this meeting to learn something about getting your time and value back. Let's be present. So turn on the video. Help each other. You all have a lot more in common than you think you do. So chat away, introduce yourself, help each other, support each other. I think that's what makes this discussion enriching. As Nishit mentioned, we take NPS feedback very seriously through the conversation. You'll see those links peppered. I'll also show you the QR code at the end of my presentation. Please do give feedback so that we can create programming and content that is useful for you. And if you really like it, well, endorse it more socially. I think we'd all really appreciate that, so that will give us a little bit more impetus to create more, again, useful content. Okay, so if there is one thing I would love for you to take away from this presentation, it is to think about what it means to have an AI-first mindset. This is more about just using a tool or having that perfect GPT prompt. And I'm going to show you some prompts and tools, but this is more about that. This is about, waking up every day and thinking, gosh, what are some of the pain points, tasks in my life, at work or personal, that is just taking up so much time that I probably don't enjoy? Is there a solution for that? Is there a Gen AI tool for that? And actually experimenting with it and being in a constant state of kind of experimenting with many tools and prompts, etc., to get to the place where you feel like, you have a tool that understands you, your tone, your voice, and you're able to turn to it for a variety of different issues and problems. So really, it's much more than just using one or two tools. It's about really a mindset change, a change in behavior. And if there is one thing I would love to, again, reiterate, something that you hopefully take away from this, is to really think about how do you develop an AI-first mindset. And if you need any more evidence that this is really changing the world in many different ways, Microsoft has recently announced its survey results. And what really stood out to me in this are a couple of things. One, more than 90% of the people actually feel it makes their overwhelming workload more manageable. I thought that overwhelming workload was really me. And so, and I'm sure it's a lot of you out here. So it's, again, AI first mindset, experimentation, to be able to take some of the tools and hacks that you're learning and trying it out for yourself. And interestingly, the same number of people, more than 90%, actually enjoy work more. Wouldn't that be great that we actually go into work every day and we feel like we really are enjoying what we're doing? AI is also a critical job skill out there. I mean, just before I came to this meeting, I searched for AI product manager on LinkedIn, and there's approximately 1,500 open jobs. So it's a tool set and it's a toolkit that will last you, through this most transformative time right now in technology and specifically in product management. And so, this is a small way of getting started with some hacks, but I'll also share some resources in terms of how you could truly develop the skill from ground up. I've been asked a lot about what kind of tools I use on a day-to-day basis. So between work and personal, I use about 10 unique tools. I am a ChatGPT fan, and I subscribe to the paid version, which is about $20 a month. You may not be, and you may just want to use ChatGPT 3.5. You may want to use Gemini. You may want to use Claude, and that is great. I think just having an association with some sort of a conversational Gen AI interface, training that with your tone, your voice, is, I feel personally, a good investment in many different ways. I spend about $800 a year on various AI tools. It probably gives me about 10 hours back every week. So on an annual basis, it's about 500 hours. That is pretty significant for me. And so I definitely plan to continue using this and possibly growing this in different ways. Recently, I did a survey, and I actually see many of you who actually have responded to the survey. So thank you for that, on what your top productivity killers are. And this is what you guys told me, or at least the people who responded told me. First, I hate managing calendars, meetings, tasks. There's just too many of them, too many tasks, constantly rejuggling and rescheduling meetings, tasks, etc. The second is just creating good, actionable, readable status updates that is timely, reliable is a drag, because there are so many moving parts and changing parts. And, imagine reading 10 wiki pages or like consolidating from 5 directs who send their status reports into one other status report and sending it out. I mean, it's a drag. And imagine if you have to do that on a weekly basis. The third is conducting research. We're asked to be experts very quickly on many different topics. So, and there are too many sources of information right now. Like, how do we go? Where do we start? How do we get everything in? And then writing project briefs and creating new content, was also a pain point that came up high. And then we also have too many communication channels to keep up on top of Slack, email, etc. Interestingly, 2 or 3 things from a product leader standpoint that didn't make the top 5 cut is writing a product strategy or a vision statement, budgeting, and data analysis, customer feedback analysis, etc. So for this for this time that we have together, we're going to address productivity hacks for managing calendar, meetings, tasks, research, and writing project briefs. We're not going to do the status updates right now because, I have been thinking about this to really give you a solid demo on how to update with status updates. You'll need to create something a little bit more custom from an LLM standpoint, have a lot of the data that's actually available, create an agent, create the workflow, and we'll get there. It's a little bit more advanced. And again, if you like the content that you see right now, give us feedback and we can come back and actually create more advanced level content for you. But just to make sure we're on the same page, we're going to address managing calendar, meetings, and tasks, which was your number one, by far, issue from a productivity standpoint, research and writing project briefs. You all with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So first Gen AI hack is to manage your meetings and calendars. And I'm going to multitask as I'm doing this because I want to actually show you something on my phone. And, think about, like, right now, without any tools, how we do these, how we manage meetings. We have too many of them. We have too many fuzzy ones. We have too many boring ones. And if they have fuzzy ones, we as product leaders are the ones putting our hands up and going, hey, let me organize this. Let me do this for you, and summarizing and following up. We have multiple calendars, and therefore the chances of multiple conflicts is higher. And we are constantly juggling, and rescheduling meetings, for this purpose. So now I'm going to show you how I use Otter to be able to really not only summarize meetings, but Otter has actually helped me improve my productivity from a quality of work standpoint. So for instance, I take the meeting out. It was a beautiful day yesterday. Are you guys able to see my phone?
No,
They're not.
it's loading though, Shubha. It looks
It's
like
loading. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to show you how I use Otter. So Otter AI was primarily started off as a voice to text software, and it summarizes meetings extremely well. A lot of actually tools summarize meetings: Microsoft Copilot, Zoom AI, Otter, Fellow, etc. I find Otter to be really great because of 2 reasons. One, it gives the full transcript. The second, it actually summarizes in sections, and the third, it gives me clear action items. And that's really all I want, especially the summarization and the clear action items. So I like Otter. I use Otter. And if I'm able to get this to work, I can show you, but I'm not for some reason. Hold on 1 second, guys. Do you see this?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So this basically is a meeting yesterday that I had with the CEO of the company that I'm actually advising from a product standpoint. And it was a beautiful day. And we were in this conference room and we were like, you know what, let's just go outside and walk. And we walked and we talked about things, and I switched on Otter, and Otter nicely summarized the whole thing because we talked about agent monitoring and supervision, we talked about QA testing, we talked about product development, and then we agreed on 3 action items: draft a list of questions for user research, provide access to the agent builder in Wayfound's platform, and determine the best research channels for the different user questions. I didn't move a finger aside from pressing Otter's record, which I thought was pretty cool, as you can imagine. I want to show you another way of actually using Otter and how this has actually made things a little easier for me. I go to a lot of, not a lot, but like, if there's a good Gen AI conference, I actually like to, spend my time there to be able to learn new things. I recently went to this conference where it was this really great keynote about how AI impacts the enterprise. And she had, the speaker had a very thick accent. Even, it was hard for me to kind of like understand it. Otter was actually able to understand the accent much better. So the entire keynote is now transcribed. I have the summary of the keynote. I have the outline of the keynote: digital transformation and value stream management, automation, AI, customer value in business, data-driven decision-making. You get the drift. And then, there are 3 action items that actually came out of it that the speaker mentioned. In this way, I find that I can actually go to conferences and panels, discussions, and actually listen to them and not worry if I'm listening to them or like losing the information or like frantically looking for my notes, etc. So I thought Otter really freed me up to be able to do these things. I'm going to show you one other hack. Hold on 1 minute while I try to navigate away from this. Are you guys able to see my screen?
We're back to seeing you, Shuba. And it's
Oh, back
starting
to
to
seeing
screen
me?
share.
Okay.
Yep, I'm starting to see your screen.
Okay, you're starting to see my screen now. Are you seeing my Chrome screen?
I see your presentation screen.
Oh, the presentation screen. Okay. I don't know how to navigate amongst. Okay, let me stop sharing for a bit and then come back to this, because what I want to show you is another hack that has helped me manage meetings effectively with this tool called Fellow. Fellow, what it does is very interesting. You will go into meetings with proper agendas. Fellow will take care of that for you. And what is also really cool about Fellow is it has this really nifty way of canceling meetings without an agenda. So to the problem of actually too many meetings, Fellow will actually cancel those meetings. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to my team and say, hey, please come with an agenda. If we don't have an agenda, let's take some time, develop an agenda. It really helps set the tone. And 30% of the time, I'm not successful at that. And I'm still going to some of those meetings. And so Fellow can be your assistant that way, that you can actually cancel the meeting that does not have an agenda. And lo and behold, like I literally had 10% fewer meetings on my calendar. And I think that was a far more gentler way of actually telling the team to have an agenda versus me just saying it again and again. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show it, but in my, in the meeting recording back, I will make sure to post screenshots of that so you know actually how to do this. And then let's go back to the presentation. Are you guys able to see the presentation again?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for your patience as we navigate sharing so many screens. All right, so this is what we covered right now. For your calendars and for your meetings, use Otter. I use Otter. I use Fellow. Otter summarizes the meetings, is multimodal, so I can take the meetings out. I can actually focus on conferences and panels much more effectively. Fellow will help me manage my calendars and one-on-ones and agendas. It gives me templatized agendas for my one-on-ones, which I wanted to show you, and unfortunately, I'm not able to right now. It summarizes the one-on-ones. It also cancels the meetings that have no agendas. And here's the cool thing. As a product leader, if you have struggled to written a performance review for your directs, you can actually take the one-on-ones in Fellow, bunch all of this together and actually have a summary draft for your first draft of your performance review for your direct report. And I cannot tell you how much time that has saved for me, when it comes to managing teams. All right, let's move on. So I want to show you another hack right now, which is about managing your tasks. And if you're like me, you have two problems. The first one is you have multiple, screens and calendars, sorry. So it's a little difficult to stay on top of each one of those calendars. I used to be the person who had those notepad full of tasks for the day, and I only got through like 10, 20% of them. And I took so much pride in writing that task list every day. And I realized that actually there is a better way to do this. And the better way to do this is with this tool called Motion that I use. So let me show you Motion. Are you guys able to see my screen, my phone screen?
Not yet. We
Not
see
yet.
a presentation.
Okay.
It's starting to share.
Okay.
Okay, see your
my
calendar.
phone screen? Okay. So this is a sample calendar for today, for instance. But it as you can see, it has scheduled some of my tasks. But what if I put in another event? Like, so say lunch with Nishit. And I do this from 12 to 1. How does this change the calendar? Earlier, I had to go and change everything else. Now, Fellow does the changing for me. And if you're able to see it, you can actually see how it actually changed the tasks. Did you see that moving? So it auto schedules your task. It also helps me eat the frog in the morning, which is calling, say, a credit card company. I don't know about you guys. I hate calling credit card companies. And my meetings at work take so much time that, all these personal stuff is then relegated to the weekend. And then I have all these lists if I have to call credit card company and health insurance. And it's not the ideal way that I would like to be. And I would like to pepper my week through taking some of these tasks and actually working on them. If you add a task that says, call credit card company, and if you actually put this as with a time frame, and if you put this as an ASAP, and you save it, it will in your calendar automatically schedule this. You saw that move up? So it'll schedule it so you're actually seeing that on top of your calendar every time. So you will, by the second, third time that you see this, eat the frog more in the morning and be more productive. I guarantee it. So that's a hack. Motion automatically generates your tasks, generates your calendar. Most importantly, combines your calendars from 5 different places, which I have, which is super useful for me. Okay, let me get out of this and then get back into the presentation, because now I'm going to show you the next hack, which is writing project briefs. Are you guys able to see my next slide?
Not yet, Shuba.
Okay. You guys able to see this?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Are you also able to see my ChatGPT interface?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, great. So let's go back to the presentation. And basically, writing project briefs, my God, I mean, you have to digest so much information. And this was like the mental model before, right? You have to use a template. Ideally, you have a template that people in your company like. Check content, grammar, add others' feedback. I mean, it's a lot of work. But now I think there is a different way to do this. So I unfortunately haven't pulled up that prompt yet. Give me 1 second while I pull up that prompt. So I'm going to show you, what I'm going to show you is how to write a project brief for like a business or a product problem that you're having, and how to use ChatGPT to be able to actually refine that problem. So again, are you able to see my screen right now?
Yep.
Says project brief?
Yep.
Okay. So before you had this whole thing, background, problem statement, goals, resources. It's quite a drag to actually go through this. So now here's my ChatGPT prompt. act as a vice president of product management with over 20 years of experience, create a project brief or a cross-functional online event aimed at growing Upwork's enterprise business 2x in 3 years. The brief should have 3 sections: background, success metrics, timeline, and the timeline should include when planning kicks off and when key events actually take place. Target audience is the CEO and the executive staff. Keep the project brief concise, use language at an 8th grade level. See, this is a type of prompt which actually took a little bit of time to actually create and refine and hone. But that's the beauty of actually using a ChatGPT kind of like an interface, because you can actually train it for the kind of tone and voice that you want. And then I gave a little bit of context about what Upwork is. I mean, I worked at Upwork before, so that's why I took this problem. It's a freelancing marketplace and platform for folks who don't know it right now. So let's see what ChatGPT gives us. Project brief to grow Upwork's enterprise business 2x in 3 years. Background and project objectives, success metrics. It also talks about customer satisfaction. Interesting. Timeline of major project milestones, year 1, year 2, year 3. By following the structure plan, we aim to double enterprise revenue. So here are a couple of things that you can do with this. You can take this, copy this, and actually use this as the first draft. But you could also do some other things. So for instance, you could say, please recommend some unconventional growth strategies. Let's see what it comes up with. Talent scouts and ambassadors, training and certification programs, AI-powered talent matching, freelancer to... You get the drift, right? So the more you are actually talking to it, and the more you're talking to it like a real person and actually giving it these prompts, the more it will actually come back with these kind of recommendations for you to actually think about. And you can just copy this and put this in a Google Sheet and a Google Doc and actually start to just iterate on this. Now, let's see, maybe I want to go deeper into something. What are some features of the freelancer loyalty program? So it was one of the things I want to actually go into some details there. And it gives me, you could do a tiered membership, you could reduce platform fees, you could give priority access, exclusive trade. You get the drift. So the idea is that you can now write a project brief with a prompt, which I will send in the follow-up. And importantly, take this project brief and actually iterate on this, go deeper on certain areas, request some unconventional ways of actually doing this. And, I feel like the interface works really well for me to be able to create that project brief. So this is something that I wanted to show you, which was one of my biggest hacks. It's hacks. It's actually a great, almost like a thought partner for your product strategy work, if you may. Okay, so that's the hack for writing project briefs. We start with the Copilot. Like for me, it's ChatGPT. I train it for the data, train it for the voice and tone, train it with that user feedback. And you can do other things with it. You can actually add a workflow that can call for a meeting with that project brief. That's the next level, kind of like advanced level that you can actually take it to. But even if you just start with using ChatGPT or any conversational interface and train it with some of the questions and answers back, I think that's a great start. We are actually a little behind, but I'm so excited to actually introduce for the next hack, Hoda Mayer, who is the CEO of Product School and Stock Card. And she's doing some amazing work in the fintech world and also for product communities like us. She is going to show you her hack for doing research. So Hoda, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shuba. And everybody, good to meet you. Let me jump in. I think what Shuba just shared is a really great foundation to what I'm going to share with you. So I'm very glad that she built a great foundation already. Can I share my screen? Host, could you make me the host so that I can actually share my screen? That would be great.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. Perfect. All right.
Just as Hoda is pulling this up, Nishit, where we are at time, let's take a call in another 10 minutes if we will have time for the breakouts or not. Because we do want to end at 9:55 PST, just to make sure everybody gets a breather before they go into their next meetings.
I would say we have a lot of questions also, just to let you know, there's a lot of interest.
Awesome, that's great. Okay.
Great. Well, I will be very quick because, as I said, Shuba, you already built a great foundation. So a lot of the things that I wanted to share, you already shared it. So people have the foundation to go and we can build on top of what you already shared. I'm assuming everybody see my screen. All right,
Yep.
so this is basically sort of my own personal hack of figuring out how would I use ChatGPT or all the generative AI capabilities that are out there to create an army of minions for myself so that they can actually help me do my task. I have to say, when I was building my own startup, Fiverr and Upwork, Shuba, they were my source of sort of, in a very enduring way, finding my minions to just outsource as many tasks as I can. And I always say, I have this army of fantastic minions getting my things done. Now I actually use ChatGPT and create custom GPTs for those. So a little bit about me. CEO recently took over at Products That Count, which is another product community similar to the Product Leadership Summit. And our work, our mission, it's a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to enable everyone build great products. And we help big enterprises, Fortune 1000 above, to turn their product management function into their competitive advantage. So that's my day job, but I am a founder of stockcard.io, which is a stock market research platform. I've built that as a fintech founder for the past 7-8 years, and then 10 years before that, I was always in product. So either as a founder or in product strategy or corporate strategy, really career focused. 20 years of focus on product. I create content on YouTube. And I have a podcast show. I invest a little bit, not as much as Shuba. And my background is an economist by training, and I did an MBA. So let's jump in. It's a tale of two worlds. In one world, you have a lot of repetitive tasks that you spend hours to do those. And then it's very hard to delegate because you have to spend time to train anyone who joins your team the way that you want things to be done. So you spend a lot of training hours if you want to delegate it. And if you don't want to delegate, you start every time from scratch. So that's a heartbroken world. This is where I used to live, trying to solve that problem by my Fiverr and Upwork armies. And then there's another world, which is I really love and I really enjoy, is that I build these custom GPTs to get things that I really want to do once. And the beauty of building custom GPT is that you will get a consistent outcome. It gets better every time you use it. You can now share it and also get other people's feedback. And then basically you almost create this reliable analyst or reliable assistant that does the job that you want to do every time. And then it can be an assistant to your entire team. So depending on how you use it. Some of the use cases I use it for is to do market analysis, competitive assessment of, all of us, like we in our work, maybe there's an interesting product out there that we want to really understand. What is this competitive advantage? Or we want to build a new feature and we want to compare a new feature to some of the existing tools that are out there, but it's not as easy, right? You have to go to their website, read what other people are saying, with what customers are saying, customer reviews, maybe try it yourself a little bit. But it's very easy to train and build a custom GPT to do all that in a very consistent way every time, and it gets better as you use it. I use it for feature research. I use it for voice of customer, and the sky is your limit. Basically, you can figure out what are the tasks that in this heartbroken world that you spend a lot of time that you would want to delegate to and get a consistent outcome. So I, as I said, is building custom GPTs. The beauty of custom GPTs on top of what you can actually do in a normal GPT prompting is that you can save it, you can define it and train it, and it can get better and better. So you don't have to re-prompt every time. And you just basically get this consistent outcome out of your custom GPT. Obviously, it's easy, it's no code. time to MVP is quite fast and it's shareable with your team. So here's the framework I used. This week, I basically took 60 minutes to create a custom GPT to do competitive analysis for this presentation specifically. So I did put 60 minutes, and this is how I basically went about it. I defined what is this custom GPT is. So I said, create a product analyst that researches the internet to identify the top 3 to 5 primary competitors of a specific product and describe its unique feature and differentiator, right? So that's number 1. And then, so that's basically a prompt, right? But then it will, when you're building custom GPT, you can start refining and refining, right? So I tried to assume if there was a new employee or a new analyst that I wanted to train to do that job for me in a consistent way. So I started defining, what do I mean by competitive advantage? What are the aspects of competitive advantage that matters to me? So you can define, go to the detail. Every aspect of what you want, you can define clearly, as if you were explaining to an employee, a new employee, you're training someone to do the research that you want to do. Another thing is I identify the sources, because we don't know where GPT can go and get its resources. So you could limit it to the reliable sources that you want. And you can ask to make sure it would always go to those resources. So in this case, because it's a competitive analysis of tech products. So I said, make sure to use Gartner, Forrester, and some other ones. And then the last one is you describe the outcome format that you want the custom GPT to deliver. So I basically said, make sure you understand what product it is, deliver the outcome in these 3 formats: key features, main differentiators, and shortcomings of each product that you're looking at, right? And then I also asked, you should always provide the list of resources that you use to do this analysis, because I want to make sure I quality, just the same as the work of your analyst, you want to quality control and make sure they use the right resources. So you're defining that. Basically, in summaries, in 60 minutes, I defined what I want to do. I defined the details, I defined the sources, and I defined the outcome I'm expecting to see, just the same as you're training someone, right? And then here we are. We have what I call PM Minion. It's actually live. I'll share the link with you all after, and then maybe we can just test it together right now and get some competitive analysis for one or 2 product, so that you see how the outcome actually works and how easy and consistent it is. Anybody wants to do a competitive analysis for any product? We can
Sure,
use this
Hoda.
one.
So
Yes.
how about we do it for Otter AI? So Shubha provided a great tool. How about we do it for Otter AI right away? That will be a learning moment.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that.
Who asked the question? That's a lovely idea.
Say that again.
I'm sorry, I'm curious, the person who actually had the idea. It's a great idea. Can you introduce yourself, your name?
Hi, Shubha. This is Mahip. I'm one
Oh,
of the
hi,
workshops
Mahip.
today.
Yes. Great idea. I'm looking forward to the results.
Let's see. Identify and analyze. Oh, identify and analyze top 3 competitors for Otter AI. Let's see. All right, let's look and see what it did. So I bet you if I want to go, and any of us would have wanted to do this, you would have at least spent 45 minutes to an hour to do this analysis in this format. So now it basically, the minions are saying, you can ask to give you more, obviously ask more clarifying questions and things like that. But as a starting point, it basically says, here's the 3 I found. First one is rev.com. Here are the key features of red.com, right? And then these are the main differentiators compared to Otter AI, and here's its shortcomings, right? So it's basically just doing the exact thing that I asked, and it would do this every time. And then I just defined some of these key features. What do they mean, and what differentiator means, and what shortcomings could look like in one sentence. But I can go back next time getting feedback from all of you and say, oh, it's missing this thing, I can go and then adjust it again. And this is all, guys, is being done in no code, right? Just typing in the settings for custom GPT to say, next time when you're looking at main differentiators, make sure to look at this and this and this and that, right? So this is now, then you get the result very consistently. So you looked at rev, and then you looked at exactly the same way for tint, which is another one, and then looked at the exactly same way for descript. So that's what I mean by consistency. And any reaction, any feedback, any questions?
Curious, is this like old data? Because is this going to be recent enough?
I mean, that's a really good feedback. So you could go back and say, only use data that is available and published since X time, right? So I'm using OpenAI GPT 4.5. So it's like real connects to the live data immediately at that point, right? What it finds. So it's really up to you what you define, but that's a really good one. So next hour, when I'm editing this, I'm going to go and say, only look for resources that were published since like the last 12 months, right? So you could define that. That's a good improvement. And that's the beauty of it, right? I share it with you, you look at it and say, oh, it's not good. And then I'll go back and then change it in the settings and say, limit to this timeline.
I had a question. So can this also be exported into an Excel?
I've actually never done it, but I'm assuming you could easily just download this, like get it and then put it in any format you want. I've never done it, but I know custom GPT, you could say put it in a table format. So I could define, say, instead of putting it in a text format, put it in a table format. And I've done that for, I have a bunch of GPTs here. There's another one for analyzing the stocks and stock market. And then the output of that one, I asked to give me in a table format. So you could do that. And then once you have a table, you probably can just download the table. But that's good. You see, like we're already improving it, right? That's the beauty of it. You could share it with your team, and then this become your product analyst that would, you all improve it together. And then after 6 months, maybe after a couple of months, maybe it is the most reliable analyst you have in your team to do the work that you wanted to do.
Hoda's famous words to me were, every product leader needs a custom GPT for research. It's like your research assistant, which I thought was so forward-looking of you, Hoda.
Well, I would say thank you for that. And I would say one last thing, and I know we don't have enough time. So there's also building a custom GPT is a very fun experience. I loved it. I was doing this over coffee in 60 minutes. And then there was this delightful moment that I like to share. So it's not a boring, you're typing things. And so you're actually interacting with GPT, of course, but it has some character to it. So it asked me, what do you want the My Minions or PM? I changed the name later on to PM Minion. What do you want to be its thumbnail? And it came up with this. And I'm like, this is not a minion. This is a man in suit from Wall Street. I don't like it. So I said, can you change the background photo to a background photo of the guy in suit to a minion? And then it just changed it to this and actually put a minion in the background. So that's just like a delightful moment of as if you're working with a very helpful and sort of funny a colleague that is just going back and forth with you. This screen you see is the screen that you set up your custom GPT. So this is my custom GPT, and this is where I set up and define parameters that I want. So this was a delightful moment. I made sure to take a screenshot to share it with you because I found that it's fun that it's just immediately figured out what I mean by minions and just put the minion in the background. So let me stop sharing. Any questions? And I'm happy to share the link with everyone if you want to give it a try and give me feedback maybe, and we can improve it. I will add the time frame and I will add a table format. Those are good feedback.
Thank you, Hoda. Should we get into Q&As?
Yes,
right.
Hoda and I are here to field questions.
Okay. So this topic really resonated. There are a lot of questions. I'll start with Shivan's question. I think you shared Fellow, which actually for a lot of these tools, I also shared this question that if I'm using it for my work purpose, how does it use proprietary data? Like, is there any risk there?
That's a great question. So it does involve reading the terms and services, terms of service. Fellow for me actually was commissioned from a work-based account. And we actually worked with Fellow to obfuscate a lot of the information, especially some of the private information. With most of these GPT models, with these generative AI tools, for instance, we have the ability, especially if it's an enterprise account, that we can have some levers and areas of negotiation in terms of what we want to share and what we don't. We use, for instance, Claude Anthropic a lot at work. And there is personal customer data that we actually sometimes put in because we need Claude to actually develop an onboarding plan for the customers. And we ask Claude to not use that data at all. The ironic thing is that it all commensurates with money. So if you actually want to, have a certain level of privacy, it actually comes at a level of cost. And if you're able to afford that, then you're able to really adjust your levers according to that. But overall, I would also say my personal risk threshold is a little high. Like I don't mind going out with my CEO, with Otter in the background while we're actually talking about product strategy for the company that I'm advising. And so it also depends on where we are in terms of our personal risk thresholds. But from an enterprise standpoint, you have more levers. You can obfuscate a bunch of different things. It just comes at a little bit of a cost.
So you have more flexibility with a paid account.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hoda, do you want to add something to that?
No, I think you covered it. That makes a lot of sense.
Second question is from Tara. Does Motion reach out to others? I think maybe she means Fellow, reaches out to others when it moves the meetings to make sure it's okay?
Yes, it does. Isn't that cool?
Nice. Well, all right. Priyanka, what tools do you use to research quantitative data? I find ChatGPT is great for qualitative, but not quantitative. So Hoda, Shuba, either of you.
I'll say on my side, actually the custom GPT I built for assessing a stock market information is all quantitative data. So I pointed to Yahoo Finance and Google Finance and Guru Focus and some other publicly available, and actually the investor relation pages of the companies. So I specifically said, these are the resources that you would use, Yahoo and investor relation pages of the company, and look for the latest quarterly and annual report. And then I ask, look for revenue, profit, cash flow, blah, 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 whatever I want. And it will basically just pull that information. So it's you defining where you want to get the information. It's your prompt.
And I'll add to that, the custom GPT that we've built with using the Chat GPT kind of infrastructure has really worked well for us from, say, a customer survey standpoint. We send out a ton of customer surveys. We have a lot of quantitative data coming back. I spend way less time actually, plowing through spreadsheets and just use that GPT that our team has created for us to be able to get a nice summary. So I find that with some work, it is possible to, as Hoda mentioned, create that custom GPT format that will work well with quantitative data too. And I would rather stick with one interface for both qualitative and quantitative. So that's why I'm invested in ChatGPT and the infrastructure.
Nice. I know we like to end early, so I'll do just one last question, which is it's a really great question from Harsh, which is the long-term implications of using such tools for us. Like, are we dumbing ourselves down? Are we getting will we not be able to do these tasks in the future? Even if we wanted to.
I mean, I don't know. There are lots of tasks that I don't want to do right now that it is taking off my plate. So at the moment, I am a bit of a happy camper. If I had a crystal ball and can actually say what would happen in the next 5 to 10 years and how we would all be either dumber or smarter because of these tools, I would like to believe, given my optimistic nature, that I would like to believe that we are on the smarter side, that we're not spending our time on doing mundane tasks, tedious tasks that take too long. We're not juggling calendars, meetings, scheduling tasks. And we're allowing our tools to be able to give us that information so that it frees up our time to do the things that we want to do and what makes us human. So I would like to believe that with the right use of it, with intelligent, cautious, experimentative, outcome-driven use of it, I think it will only make us smarter. But I'm a little bit more of an optimist, so I'm sure there are other perspectives out there for that. Hoda, do you want to add something?
I'll just add something. 20 years ago, I used to remember all the basically places on map to, where, how to get here and get there. And I used to remember all phone numbers of all my family members and then use calculator to actually do simple math. And I cannot do none of those anymore. Don't remember even my mother, which is really bad. My mother phone number, because it's always in my phone, and can't calculate like big numbers, like multiply them, because obviously we use our phones. I feel a lot more smarter though anyway, that I feel that I do a lot more and high value work than those things. So I feel like these kind of research, once you actually use it, you will have time to think more strategically and think about more projects and do multiple projects at the same time. So you can run 2 companies at the same time, things like that, that when your time is freed up. I don't think history shows that when we delegate these tasks, we become less human, we actually become more productive.
You develop different skills, even
do.
more high value skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is a good time to conclude. Shubha and Nishit, I'll hand it over to you guys.
I just wanted to say thank you all so much again for attending this session. Thank you all for your flexibility and the fact that we couldn't do the breakout sessions. I promise next time we come back, we will do it and possibly even, if possible, dedicate a little bit more time to it. But this seemed like an important topic for us to be able to cover at least maximum ground of topics, content, and questions. Really, thank you to all the volunteers, Nishit, Parul, Juhi, Mahip, Katie. I'm forgetting maybe a couple of names. Thank you all for that. Hoda, thank you so much for your presence and showing that custom GPT. I want to do one myself. So, I'm going to tinker around with it and maybe call you for some feedback. But again, thank you all very much again. And again, if you want any information about the Product Leadership Summit, which happens in fall, you all will be great attendees there. Please look up the website for PLS and submit your application for it. We're really excited to see all of you next time on June 14th, where Brian Root, a product leader from New York, is going to moderate a panel with folks in executive levels of product, VPs and CPOs, who have made the transition in the last 6 months. How did they do it? So we're going to get more information on June 14th from Brian on all of that. So I hope to see you all next time. Thank you all very much and happy Friday.